Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Sutasi Srimati Vangles Abhay Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Sutasi Srimati Vangles Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayang Mudiraye. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 90th chapter. This is the last chapter. Summary of Lord Krishna's glories. We are reading today text 26. From text number 26 to 42, there are no purport. So we will read all those verses. We'll recite 26th. Shrutamatro piya strina prahasya karshate manaha urugayo rugitava pashyantinam chakim punaha. Shruta piya strina prahasya karshate manaha urugayo rugitava pashyantinam chakim punaha. Shruta piya strina prahasya karshate manaha urugayo rugitava pashyantinam chakim punaha. Shrutamatra piya strina prahasya karshate manaha urugayo rugitova pashyatinam chakim punaha. Sruto piya strina prahasya karshate manaha urugayo rugitova pashyantinam chakim punaha. Sutomatro piya strina prasadhya karshate manaha urugayo rugitova pashyantinam chakim punaha. Vaishnavis. Shruto matro piya strina prasaya karshate manaha urugayo rugitova pashyantinam chakim punaha. Word to word translation. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His disciples ki jai. Shruta heard about matraha merely, api even, yaha who, Lord Krishna, strinam of woman, prasahya by force, akarshate attracts, manaha the minds, uru numerous, gaya by songs, uru in numerous ways, gitaha sung about, va on the other hand, pashyantinam of those women who see him, cha and kim what, punaha more. Translation. The Lord, whom countless songs glorify in countless ways, forcibly attracts the minds of all women who simply hear about him. What to speak then of those women who see him directly? Next verse, translation. And how could one possibly describe the great austerities that had been performed by the woman who perfectly served him, the spiritual master of the universe, in pure ecstatic love? Thinking of him as their husband, they rendered such intimate services as massaging his feet. Thus, observing the principles of duty enunciated in the Vedas, Lord Krishna, the goal of saintly devotees, repeatedly demonstrated how one can achieve at home the objectives of religiosity, economic development, and regulated sense gratification. While fulfilling the highest standards of religious householder life, Lord Krishna maintained more than 16,100 wives. Haribo. Amazing. Among these jewel-like women were 8 principal queens headed by Rukmini. I have already described them one after another, O king, along with their sons. The Supreme Lord Krishna, whose endeavor never fails, begot 10 sons in each of his many wives. Amazing. Purport. The total number of Lord Krishna's son was thus 1,61,080, and he also had a daughter by each wife. That means plus 16,000. Amazing. Among these sons, all possessing unlimited valor, 18 were Maharathas of great renown. Now hear their names from me. They were Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Diptiman, Bhanu, Samba, Madhu, Brihadbhanu, Chitrabhanu, Brika, Aruna, Puskara, Vedabahu, Srutadeva, Sunandana, Chitrabahu, Virupa, Kavi, and Myogradha. In the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Aniruddha mentioned here is Lord Krishna's son, not his well-known grandson, through Pradyumna. O best of the kings of these sons, begotten by Lord Krishna, the enemy of Madhu, the most prominent was Rukmini's son Pradyumna. He was just like his father. The great warrior Pradyumna married Rukmini's daughter Rukmavati, who gave birth to Aniruddha. He was as strong as 10,000 elephants. Rukmini's daughter's son Aniruddha married Rukmini's son's daughter Rochana. From her was born Bajra, who would remain among the few survivors of Yadu's battle with clubs. From Bajra came Pratibahu, whose son was Subahu. Subahu's son was Santasena, and from whom Satasena was born. No one born in this family was poor in wealth. Someone may think 1,61,080 children. One may think, oh, whether place will be there to stay, whether food will be there to eat. So Shukadeva Goswami clarifies, no one born in this family was poor in wealth or progeny, short-lived, weak or neglectful of Brahminical culture. The Yadu dynasty produced innumerable great men of famous deeds. Even in tens of thousands of years, O king, one could never count them all. So this is very interesting translation. Next verse, 41. I have heard from authoritative sources, because now Sukadeva Goswami is going to give some numbers which is really mind-boggling. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami is telling. I have heard from authoritative sources that the Yadu family employed 3,88 lakh teachers just to educate their children. When I read this translation, I said, we have no dearth of preaching opportunity, teaching opportunities. We should not fight, mere ko sisya milega ki nahi, disciples milega ki nahi. 3,88 lakh teachers just in Dwarka. All of you can become teachers. Next. Who can count all the great Yadavas when among them King Ugrasen alone was accompanied by an entourage of 30 trillion attendants? Only Ugrasen had 30 trillion knocker. Hare Krishna. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains why specifically 30 trillion rather than an indefinite number of tens of trillions is stated here to be the number of King Ugrasena's attendants. He does so by citing the interpretational rule of Kapinjaladhikarana, the logic of referring to the pigeons. Somewhere in the Vedas is found the injunction that one should sacrifice some pigeons. This plural number should be taken to mean not an indiscriminate number of pigeons, but precisely 3 of them, since the Vedas never leave any matter vague. The rules of Mimamsa interpretation take 3 as the default number when no specific number is given. So when some specific number is not given, 3 is the default number, and when a big specific number is given, it is understood infinite. That's the logic. That's under the purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shilakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. So there are so many things mentioned in these so many verses which are there today, but we will focus on this verse which is on the board because Sanatana Goswami writes a beautiful commentary on this verse, and we will see how it is relevant to all of our lives. So we will read the translation of this verse again because a lot of verses are there. So we'll again read the translation and we will continue our discussion. Okay. The Lord, please repeat, the Lord, whom countless songs glorify in countless ways, forcibly attracts the minds of all women who simply hear about him. What to speak then of those women who see him directly? So Sanatana Goswami, very interestingly, he says that generally seeing is not believing. That's what we have read in our scriptures or whatever. In the beginning we had all classes and device sessions and all. It's seeing, believing. क्या देखने से सब समझ में आ जाता है. And we saw how Pratyaksha Praman is so much a faulty, and it is established that Sabda is superior to Pratyaksha. But Sanatana Goswami is telling that here Pratyaksha is more superior than Sabda. That's what the verse says. We'll read again. The Lord, whom countless songs glorify in countless ways, forcibly attracts the minds of all women who simply hear about him. Hearing, Sravanam, singing, Kirtanam is first described in the first line, and in the next line says, if you read carefully again, what to speak then of those women who see him directly? That means those women who are hearing about the Lord, speaking about the Lord, तो ठीक ही है, पर जो स्त्री लोग भगवान को सामने देखे, उनका क्या कहना. वाह 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 वाह. So here, hearing and singing about the Lord, or Shravanam and Kirtanam, that is the Sabda, as we have heard, is given a lower priority, and seeing or Pratyaksha is given a higher priority. So we will today see the beauty of Pratyaksha. Today we will describe in the class the beauty of Pratyaksha. What is Pratyaksha and how Pratyaksha is also beautiful, and we will try to shatter our Discover Yourself session. What we learned in the beginning of our Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's start. So Sabda is very, very essential. Without Sabda, we have heard that Pratyaksha Praman is very faulty and Anuman Praman is also very faulty, but it is actually through Sabda we can understand the absolute truth. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Sabda is very, very essential to understand the Brahma, the absolute truth. But Sabda is incomplete in fully understanding and perceiving the rasa of the Lord. Just like Krishna is definitely the absolute truth, but Krishna is also Raso Vaisaha. Raso Vaisaha means Krishna is full of sweetness. Like for example, I'll give an example so that you understand what I am speaking. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't give this example. This is Sri Nitai's example. So take a Rasgulla. Now if I see the Rasgulla, Rasgulla एक plate में रखा हुआ है. If I see the Rasgulla, I cannot understand the nutritional value of the Rasgulla. ऐसे देख के पता चलेगा क्या? कितना कैलोरी है, कितना वो है, ये है, वो है, and all those things we don't. But when we hear from a dietitian, अरे रसगुल्ला खाएगा, तुम जो पतला है, मोटा हो जाएगा. And then when we hear about that nutritional value of rasgulla, खाने से ऐसे होगा, गरम रसगुल्ला खाने से पेट ठीक होगा. Like there was one doctor, Majumdar. Yes, how many of you know Dr. Majumdar? Yes. Dr. Majumdar's famous treatment for all the stomach related problems in Albert Road. garam rasgulla. And our Shankar Pandit Prabhu used to somehow get some garam rasgulla. I ate so much, but still my stomach didn't cured. He was so convinced about garam rasgulla. He will tell garam rasgulla, पूरा जो soft होता है, उसको खाने से सब ठीक हो जाएगा. So we may understand the nutritional value of a rasgulla just by seeing pratyaksha. You will not be able to understand how much protein or how much nutritional value the rasgulla has, but by hearing from a realized person, we will understand, oh, this rasgulla is very special. But just by hearing also about rasgulla, can you fully understand what is a rasgulla? Yes? Until unless that rasgulla leaves your hand and put in your mouth. Oh, there is much beyond nutrition also about rasgulla. Yes, exactly in the same way. There is one thing about hearing about Krishna that is like hearing about rasgulla. Oh, yes, that's all absolute. Hearing about Krishna is also absolute. Hearing about Krishna is also truth. It is the absolute truth. It is non-different than Krishna. That's what this verse says. We should not think that Sabda is inferior. But compared to the experience of Krishna directly, Sabda becomes, just like in one of the verse it is said, when actually we see Krishna, we think, अरे क्या वर्णन हुआ था, अरविंद लोचन है क्या ये तो अरविंद लोचन से इनफाइनाइट गुना सुंदर है. अरे बट क्या करें, देयर वर नो वर्ड्स ओनली टू डिस्क्राइब, इसीलिए अरविंद लोचन बोल दिया गया था. अब पता चला भगवान अरविंद लोचन नहीं है. Just like we may hear about rasgulla, ऐसा होता है, वैसा होता है, अरे खा लो. But when we put it in our mouth, when it really, we start chewing and relishing the rasgulla, then the experience of the rasgulla makes the knowledge of rasgulla complete. So, in that sense, Sanatan Goswami and our also Jiva Goswami and our Acharyas, to the purport of this verse, explain that Pratyaksha is incomplete. Sabda completes the Pratyaksha because Pratyaksha is faulty. But then as we go ahead, there is not just Pratyaksha Praman, there is Pratyaksha Sakshatkar. So we will take some verse from Bhagavad Gita to establish this. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita 7.1, what is the verse? Yeah, very good. All of you are great Bhakti Sastris. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Shri Sri Nitai Gauranga ki Srila Prabhupada ki Maya Sakta Manha Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashayaha Asamsayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasasi Tat Sruno. So here in the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, is establishing that how important is hearing about him. Tat Shunu Yatha Gyasasi. If you really want to understand me, you have to hear. But in the same section of Bhakti Yoga, as Krishna goes ahead from the 7th chapter to the 9th chapter, what Krishna says, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram idam uttamam. Pratyaksha abagamyam dharmyam. Susukham karutumabhyayam. So then, if everything is about hearing, then why Krishna is telling here, Pratyaksha Abagamam. Abagamam, if you see Srila Prabhupada's translation, is understanding. Understanding through Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam. And then what happens? Wow, Rasgulla. Susukham Kartumabhyayam. So that is Pratyaksha Praman, which is faulty, but Pratyaksha Sakshatkar of Krishna is the only way to actually experience Krishna in our life. I'll give some more examples, so that you understand. In Gopi Geetam, the gopis are speaking about Krishna. This verse, when Krishna leaves Rasa dance arena, so the gopis are speaking this verse. Madhuraya gira valguvakyaya buddha manogyaya puskare kshana vidhi karima viramuhyati adhara sidhuna pyayayashvana. Madhuraya gira valguvakya. The gopis are singing that Madhuraya gira, Krishna's words are Madhuraya gira valguvakya. Now there are no words in English translation which can make you understand what is valguvakya. There is no, English doesn't have a vocabulary, and even if you understand Sanskrit grammar, Sanskrit words, you cannot really understand what is Valgu Vakya. Valgu Vakya क्या होता है, वो केवल एक प्रेमी समझ सकता है. Just by reading Valgu Vakyaya or reciting the Gopi Geetam, what the gopis are telling about Valgu Vakyaya, reading the synonym, kya hai ye Valgu Vakyaya, we cannot understand. Because it's Valgu Vakyaya. Right? Like to give an example of Valgu Vakyaya. When all of you know the pastime of Krishna going to kidnap Rukmini. And it was such an intense experience for Rukmini because Krishna deliberately became late. And even if he arrived, Krishna sent the messenger to inform Rukmini, but Rukmini was in great anxiety because Rukmini knew that Sisupal, Jarasandha all have come with lot of armies. And even if Krishna is successful to kidnap me, I really don't know. And the Brahmana said, कि Lord came alone. मैं और भगवान आए, भगवान आ गए हैं, टेंशन नहीं है. But still Rukmini was in great anxiety. Because भगवान तो आ गए हैं, जरासन की और शिशुपाल की इतनी सारी सैन्य है और भगवान अकेले हैं तो क्या करेंगे? So Rukmini was in great anxiety, but she did the work. Whatever she wrote in the letter, I will go to the Ambika, and while Ambika darshan, I will jump off from the window and I will come, and then you will see me and you will pick me up and we will go, like that. You know, the letter had the strategy and she followed the strategy. And she jumped up from the window and went, and when Rukmini, this Bhagavatam says, this is the first time Krishna saw Rukmini, Rukmini saw Krishna, and all other men also saw Rukmini. Everyone, when they saw Rukmini except Krishna, they all fell flat. And Rukmini was just walking along the falling men, and then Rukmini, Krishna catches the hand of Rukmini and Rukmini enters the chariot. Still Rukmini is extremely disturbed and anxiety. He is having anxiety because all people have started shouting. No, le liya, gwala le liya, gwala le liya, gwala le liya, gwala le liya. Say, Jarasandha was shouting and all started throwing arrows. And Rukmini was like, she was already in a great anxiety. Now she became so fearful. Now Krishna wants to relieve Rukmini's anxiety. And Krishna shows the armies. Now, Valgu Vakyaya means, you see what Krishna speaks to Rukmini. Krishna says, Rukmini, don't worry. Your armies will protect us. So just by speaking, now all of you are not able to understand. That's why it is Valgu Vakyaya. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna said, your armies, by your armies, Krishna showed his Narayani Sena who was waiting. Pehle se Balram ji leke aaye the. And showing the armies, Krishna didn't say, my armies will protect you. Krishna said, your armies. That means what? मेरा और भगवान में कोई अंतर नहीं है. भगवान का सब कुछ अब मेरा हो गया. Your armies will protect us. So this is called Valgu Vakyaya. Now until unless Krishna comes in front and speaks, that pratyaksha sakshatkar jab tak nahi hoga, all the sabdas will just remain sabda. And that's what in this verse the gopis are telling, Buddha mano gaya puskarekshane vidhi kari iman. Vidhi kari. Gopis are describing themselves as vidhi kari. Vidhi means rules and regulations. Kari matlab karna. So the gopis are telling that, oh Lord, your Balgu Vakyaya, your Madhuraya Gira are so enchanting, so filled with sweetness. We just become like robots. जैसे आप बोलेंगे वैसे हम करेंगे. विधि करी मतलब रोबोट्स. आप जैसे भगवान नचाते थे, गोपी लोग वैसे नाचते थे, just getting mesmerized by the sweetness of Krishna. So we must understand that Sabda is important to understand the absolute nature of absolute truth, but Pratyaksha Avagamyam is necessary for understanding the rasa of the Lord, the sweetness of the Lord. Just by Sabda, just by hearing, we cannot understand the sweetness of the Lord. It is only when the Lord comes and reveals His sweetness, then only that Pratyaksha Avagamyam happens. And that's why love cannot be understood by hearing. Love can only be experienced. Prem समझने का चीज नहीं है. प्रेम महसूस करना. We have to feel the love, not understand the love, right? We cannot understand. We just have to feel the love, right? So Krishna is Raso Bahisaha. Absolute truth is definitely Brahma. The Upanishads say Brahma and the Shrutis say Brahma. So Shrutis can be understood by Shravanam. But Rasa has to be understood by direct experience. And that's why it is being said here that, we will read the translation again of the 26th verse. The Lord whom countless songs glorify in countless ways forcibly attracts the minds of all women who simply hear about Him. There are two classes of women described in this verse. First, women who are just hearing. What to speak of then of those women who see Him directly? That means the women who are seeing the Lord, or in other words, Lord is merciful to those women to give Him His darshan, are more fortunate than those women who are just engaged in hearing of the Lord. बहुत अच्छा, फिर भागवतम क्लास करने की क्या फिर जरूरत है? If प्रत्यक्ष is everything, then why Sabda? क्लास बंद कर दो कल से, चैंटिंग भी बंद कर दो. Okay? But that is not the case. So we will now for next 15 minutes discuss how to attain that pratyaksha. It's not that, okay, pratyaksha is important, then we stop sabda. Okay? So, pratyaksha is definitely important, but we see in Mahabharata, Duryodhan got the pratyaksha. Yes? Duryodhan got the pratyaksha. Duryodhan actually saw the Lord face to face. Not just the Lord, he saw the Vishwarup form of the Lord face to face. So, it is not about the pratyaksha. This Vrindavan Das Thakur writes a very wonderful thing in Adi Leela. We will describe that so as to understand how Sabda and Pratyaksha are related. Okay, so this context of Vrindavan Das Thakur writing in Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Leela is where Vishwarup is taking sannyas. All of you know Vishwarup. Vishwarup is the elder brother of Nimai, and Vishwarup had no connections with material life whatsoever. So he used to regularly go and read and describe about the glories of Krishna and do Krishna Kirtan in the house of Advaita Acharya. So this is Vrindavan Das Thakur says that when Mother Sachi would prepare the lunch, then Mother Sachi will say, Randhana kariya Sachi bole Vishwambhare Tomara agraje giya anaha satvare. So once the cooking is done, then Sachi Mata says, oh, Vishwambhar, Nimai, get your agraj Vishwarup. Maere adese Prabhu Advaita Sabhai. And hearing the instruction of Sachi Devi, so Nimai goes to Advait Sabha, Advait Acharya ke ghar. Aishena agrajera labhara chalai. And he comes to Advait Sabha, Advait Acharya's house to get Vishwarup back. Asiya dekhena Prabhu Vaishnava Mandal. And when Nimai enters, he says, sees the Vaishnava Mandal. बैठ के क्या कर रहे हैं? कृष्ण कथा कर रहे हैं, शब्द. अन्योन्ये करेण कृष्ण कथन मंगल. And वो कैसे करते थे? They used to sit in small groups. And different groups में बैठ के they used to read and discuss, and like that they used to do. Anyonye karena. Apana prastava suni Sri Gaura Sundar. And when Nimai enters, small Nimai, he feels so happy. अरे मेरे बारे में डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, मेरे बारे में सब डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. So he feels very happy. Apana prastava. Prastav मतलब discussion. Apana prastava suni Sri Gaura Sundar. Sabare karena subha दृष्टि मनोहर. Then गौरचंदर सबको ऐसे ऐसे देख रहे हैं घूम के. सब छोटा ग्रुप में बैठ रहे हैं एंड ऐसे जैसे हम चैंटिंग सर्कल में बैठे हैं, सबको ऐसे निमाय घूर के देख रहा है दांत दिखा के. Okay? So now we will see what Vrindavan Das Thakur writes. Prati ange nirupama lavanyera sima. So the devotees who were discussing about the chanting and glories of the Lord, sab Nimai, when they saw Nimai, they were like stunned. Lavanyera sima, matlab whatever they were discussing is about Nimai only, but when they saw Nimai, like they were completely wonderstruck. Pratiyange nirupama, every limb of Nimai's body, Vishwambar's body was lavanya. It is the epitome of all loveliness. Lavanya means love, loveliness. Koti chandra nahe eka nakhara upama. Millions of moons, if compared, cannot be compared to one nakha, one nail of toenail of Nimai. That was how beautiful was Nimai. And then we'll read Digambara Sarvang. Nimai was completely naked. Digambara Sarvanga Dhulaye Dusar. Actually, Nimai was playing. And Sach mein, hey Nimai, jaake leke aao, jaake leke aao. So daud ke gaye. And he was completely naked. And all dust was lying on the body. Hasiya agraja prati karena utar, and Nimai is smiling and going to Viswarup. And what Nimai is doing? Nimai is catching the kurta. That's a kurta. Bhojane Aisha bhai dakaye janani, bhai dada 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 dada, ma bula rahi hai ma dakchi dada dada, like that. Bhojane Aisha bhai dakaye janani, agraja vasana dhari chalaye apni, chalo dada chalo, like that. Vrindavan Das Thakur is telling. Now, when actually he was now just giving darshan, now Nimai is doing some leela in front, come. Now Vrindavan Das Thakur says what? Dekhi se mohana rupa sarva bhaktagan, sthagita hoya sabe kare nirikshan. Just वो मोहन रूप देख के निमाय का सब का कीर्तन बंद हो गया, सब का पठन बंद हो गया, भागवतम क्लास बंद हो गया. Everyone is focused on Nimai, the form of the Nimai. In this way, the experience, pratyaksha of Krishna is much more superior than what we are actually hearing. Right? Everyone was stagit. It's adjourned. The Bhagavatam class is adjourned because the subject of the Bhagavatam class has entered the Bhagavatam class. Just like when altar opens, we say Sri Sri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai, because the subject has entered. So what is the Bhagavatam class? Now this verse is very important. All of you can recite. This verse is very, very important, what Vrindavan Das Thakur says. Prabhu dekhi bhakta moho swabhavai hai, bina anubhaveyo dasera chittalay. Prabhu dekhi bhakta moho swabhavai hai. One who is a devotee of the Lord, bina anubhavaya dasera chittalay. Only one who is in the mood of daser chitta, one who is in the mood of service, he only can have the Prabhu anubhav. Bina anubhavaya dasera chittalay. If you want to experience the love of Krishna, experience the rasa of Krishna, bina dasera chitta, until unless we come with a dasera chitta. Duryodhan didn't come with a dasera chitta. But Nimai didn't come as Krishna. Nimai comes as a small child. Vrindavan Das Thakur, actually, further he explains what I am telling. Nimai comes as a small child. All the devotees are mesmerized. Krishna comes as Krishna. Duryodhan is not able to recognize. So, pratyaksha avagamyam can only happen when we have dasera chitta. And that's how the next verse, 27th verse, we'll read the translation. All of you repeat. Open the 27th verse. How could one possibly describe the great austerities that have been performed by the woman who perfectly served him, the spiritual master of the universe, in pure ecstatic love, thinking of him as their husband? They rendered such intimate services as massaging his feet. So this sabda, what we are hearing, is supposed to awaken our dasera chitta. Until unless we develop a desire to serve, our hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam class will not result in pratyaksha avagamyam. We may hear and hear and hear and hear and chant and chant and chant. But Srila Prabhupada said, the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, O Hare, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. That name which is called out with a desire to serve can only awaken Krishna's experience in our life. But if we just chant, if we just hear Srimad Bhagavatam to know Bhagavatam, if we just chant because I want to chant the holy names of Krishna, I want to relish the sweetness of Krishna, we'll never be able to relish the sweetness of Krishna. So this Sabda definitely will tell us about absolute truth. But Sabda can reveal the sweetness of absolute truth only when it has dasera chitta, the intention to serve. Our intention to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is to enhance our service, to enhance the quality of our service. Every day we get up and chant the holy names so that we can enhance the quality of our service. And when that is done, then that Sabda actually brings the experience of Krishna. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam. One will get the direct experience of Krishna, and that will be susukham. And the last Srila Prabhupada mentions in that verse in Bhagavad Gita, abhyayam, kartum abhyayam. Our bhakti will be everlasting when we relish bhakti. And we will be only able to relish bhakti when we perform the limbs of bhakti with dasera chitta. Right? We'll read the verse of Vrindavan Das Thakur again. Prabhu dekhi bhakta moha swabhavai hoy, bina anubhaveo dasera chitta loy. Dasera chitta loy. Krishna steals the heart of one who has a dasera chitta. Right? And we see that in the Leela where Yasoda Maharani is trying so many maids in her house, but she engages all the maids in different works and she picks up the manthan. If all of you open, please open 10th Canto. This is the last thing we'll discuss. 9th chapter and 1st verse. Okay? 10th Canto. We'll recite these verses and we'll conclude. 10th Canto, 9th chapter, 1st and 2nd verse. Sri Sukha Uvacha Ekada Griha Dasisu Yasoda Nandagehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamantha Swayam Dadhi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Dadhi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tanya Gayata. So Yasoda Maharani is Yani Yani Gitani. When she is holding the service, she is doing the service, and while doing the service, she is doing Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha. She is describing the beautiful pastimes of the Lord. Shomam Basa Pruthukatitate Biprati Sutranadham Putra Sneha Snutakucha Yugam Jata Kampam Chasusubhru Rajwa Swinam Bhaktram Kavaravigalam Malati Nirmamantha So in this verse, there is one beautiful thing that is called Rajwa Akarsha Srama Bhuja. Bhuja means arms, Srama Bhuja, sweating in service. Not just Yasoda Maharani was just doing service, Hare Krishna, just to show others and take pictures. She was seriously sweating in the service. Just like sometimes we do service, na? दिखाने के लिए मैं भी कर रहा हूं सेवा. Yasoda was not doing like that. Rajwa Akarsha Srama Bhuja. She was doing service seriously so much that she was sweating in that service. And then what happens when we sweat in the service? Krishna appears. Tam stanya kama sadhya. तब भगवान को याद आता है यशोदा से हमको आलाप करना चाहिए. तम काम भगवान के इच्छा होता है. जब भगवान कृष्ण sees that we are sweating in service, Krishna wants to release that service, then he comes pratyaksha. Manthatim jananim hari grihitva dadhi manthanam. Then Krishna comes and holds the dadhi manthan. He said, abhi indirect service band karo, direct service karke direct experience karo. Pratyaksha avagamyam dharmyam susukham kartum abhyayam. परोक्ष सर्विस बंद करो, बैठ के पोछा लगाना, अभी मेरे बदन को पोछा लगाओ. बट टेम्पल हॉल को जब हम पोछेंगे एंड बाकी चीजें जो भी सेवा हमको मिला है, व्हाट एवर सर्विस वी हैव गॉट, उस सेवा को अगर सोचेंगे कि श्रील प्रभुपाद हैज ऑफर्ड मी दिस सर्विस, व्हाट एवर इट मे बी. It may be cleaning the temple hall, it may be doing book distribution, it may be cooking, it may be teaching, preaching, whatever it is. When we really exert ourselves, sweat in that, then in that Krishna will directly appear, just like Krishna appeared for Yasoda and said, stop your book distribution. Now I am in front of you, release me. So, in this way, pratyaksha avagamyam will happen when we have this dasera chitta, and that dasera chitta has to be with srama bhuja, sweating, really seriously doing that, right? And this is something which is seen in Jagannath Puri, because yesterday was Makar Sankranti. 15 days before the Makar Sankranti, 1 month before the Makar Sankranti comes the Dhanu Sankranti in December 15th. Dhanu Sankranti is the day in Jagannath Puri, Lakshmi ji leaves Jagannath temple, goes to her maike, that is Darya. That is, Darya means sea god. So when Lakshmi ji goes maike, so Nilachal becomes Sundarachal again. Because it's Lakshmi's Aishwarya which makes Jagannath temple as Dwaraka. When Lakshmi leaves, so immediately the entire, for 1 month, Jagannath temple gets the fever of Vrindavan. And Yasoda comes to the kitchen and starts cooking. And the prasadam, this 1 month, I don't know how many of you have eaten the prasadam in this 1 month. From December 15th to January 15th, it is called the Pahili Bhog. It has completely different taste than the other 11 months. And Yasoda is so concerned कि मेरा लाला को लक्ष्मी नहीं खिलाती है time पे. All the 11 months, prasadam, you have to wait for prasadam. And in this 1 month, prasadam waits for you. If you go to temple of Jagannath, you really are not sure when prasad will come. How many of you have experienced it? If you, pujaris will say, 2 बजे निकल जाएगा. And अब बैठे 2, 3, 4, 5 बज गया और अभी निकल रहा है. थोड़ा लेट हो गया. 3 घंटा थोड़ा लेट होता है. बट लक्ष्मी अपनी मेकअप में इतना विभोर हो जाती है कभी कभी 3 घंटा भी थोड़ा कम लगता है. बट यशोदा इज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन मेकअप. Yasoda is great and Lakshmi is also great. Just for the pastime they are doing like this. But Yasoda Maharani does pahili. Pahili matlab? पहले पहली भोग मतलब पहले ही सब बन जाता है सब कुछ. 2 बजे भगवान को उठा दिया जाता है, 5:30 बजे भगवान का प्रसाद रेडी. फर्स्ट प्रसाद मॉर्निंग 5:30 and Lord eats special prasad, and one of the special prasad that Yasoda Maharani cooks is called Dhanu Mua. Mua is basically, it's a traditional village type item. Mua you understand? Okay, Mua you understand, the Bengalis. But this is Dhanu Mua, which is different. That is, it is made not with puffed rice. That is, moodi se nahi banta hai. Ye liya se banta hai, khai se banta hai. Khai is when the rice paddy is made puffed. Right? That is called khai. Huh? Liya. Lahiya bolte hain, lahiya in Hindi. So Dhanu Mua is prepared and cooked and given. And all the different special prasad, like there is one thing called pachedi. It is offered only in this 1 month. It is so tasty, so tasty. There is one khichdi that is offered in this month, which is not available in all other times, and it is also so tasty. Overall, this 1 month, the prasad is overall tasty because mother's cooking is better than wife's cooking. For those who are married can understand, those who are brahmacharis have no understanding about it. It is not pratyaksha avagamya. Anyway, so in this 1 month, Yasoda takes charge of the kitchen and the prasadam is so ecstatic. We should have a yatra in this time to Puri. And I want to really feed all devotees this Pahili Bhog. It's really special, really special. And then what happens today or maybe yesterday, Makar Sankranti, is Lakshmi comes back and Lakshmi is so eager, kuch kha raha hai ki nahi? Jagannath to maja kar raha hai, but Lakshmi is thinking, main nahi tha, kuch kha raha hai ki nahi, kya ho raha hai? So Lakshmi brings lot of chawal because she is very wealthy. So she brings lot of different fragrant rice. And Lakshmi is so eager to feed Jagannath, she doesn't think of even cooking that rice. No, kabhi hum, arey bhook lag raha hoga. On the way only, Lakshmi takes milk, because while traveling you cannot cook. So Lakshmi takes the milk and soaks the rice in the milk. And rice, raw rice, soaked overnight in the milk, is offered to the Lord Jagannath early in the morning of Makar Sankranti, which is called Makar Chawal. So Lakshmi prepares on the way only, because she is so eager, kuch khaya hoga, kya ho raha hai. Because on the way you cannot cook anything. She soaks fragrant rice, Govinda Bhog, right, in the milk, condensed milk, and puts lot of fruits, dry fruits, honey and chena and all those whatever is available. And when she reaches, the first thing she offers to Jagannath is, बिल्कुल 1 महीना नहीं खाए होगे ना? ना बिल्कुल खाए नहीं. तुम्हारे बिना कुछ अच्छा लगता है क्या? And then the Makar Chawal is offered to the Lord, which is not cooked rice but uncooked rice, explaining about the ecstasy of Lakshmi's love for Krishna to feed Jagannath with so much of love. And this Makar Chawal is really special, really tasty. Hare Krishna. In this way, Dasera Chitta is important, whether it is Yasoda's love, which may be of a different category than Lakshmi's love, which is maybe of a different category, but the foundation of everyone's love is Dasera Chitta. And Krishna releases everyone's love, and Krishna wants to give his experience only when we have that Dasera Chitta. Then our bhakti becomes Susukham Kartumabhyayam. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Grace Sri Nitai Prabhu ki.